Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, we were both louder. That's great. And welcome. Welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ventura. I am the Reverend Dana Worsnop, minister, delighted to be minister of this vital and caring community. We gather to keep love at the center of our lives and the way we move in the world. I welcome you all here in the sanctuary, those who are coming to us through the wonders of electronic Zooming and streaming. I welcome all, whether you have been here for 30 years or 3, 10 months or, yes, 10 minutes, and whether you strolled, rolled, zoomed, ran, or danced in, we are glad you have joined us. We are a community of many beliefs, identities, origins, sexualities, and genders. All are welcome here. And let us take just some moments to acknowledge that our building and we here rest on the unceded ancestral homelands of the Chumash peoples. Let us pause and remember that let us pause and remember that we live on ground that is sacred, ground that cries out for justice and for responsible stewardship. In so remembering, may we find the courage to do our part to restore wholeness to earth and all her peoples. I do have a couple of brief announcements. First, our auction is fully underway, and we are more than halfway to our goal. Very exciting. And it means that in order to get there, though, you got to keep bidding early and often. Keep track of those things that you are bidding upon. Also, there is still time to sign up for the class called Changing Habits, which is being offered by David Smith. It is part self-improvement plan and part spiritual practice, and part David he found something that he so wants to share. So please read his Between Sundays post, and also think about it. I think it's gonna be good. Also, just wanting to let you know that the very best way to find out what is happening at church, opportunities to deepen your spirit, make connections, serve the world, is to sign up for getting our email newsletter called UUCV This Week. We need your contact information. So if you are not already signed up for that, please drop by the Connecting Center and or the Welcome Table in Berg Hall, which is through those doors after the service, and give us that contact information. And I want everyone else who's already signed up to know that the second best way to find out what is happening at church is to actually read UUCV This Week. We miss some things every once in a while, but pretty much we don't. And if it's going on at church, you will know about it from that. So read it. And now, on this day, in this time, with these people here gathered, let us know that we create a holy gathering and a holy time just by being here. And let us enter sacred space.
I am Worship Associate Rob March. We invite those who are Zooming or streaming into the service to light a chalice or candle at home, as Reverend Dana lights the chalice of our free faith here in this sanctuary. We begin our service this morning with these words from Lois Van Leer. We light this chalice, not because we must, but because we may. We light this chalice, not because we have the truth, but because we each come bearing and seeking many truths. We light this chalice in connection across culture, distance, class, and language. We light this chalice that our religion may be a beacon of light, hope, and justice. We light this chalice to kindle our hearts and our minds. Come, let us worship together.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Carolyn Bierke, the music director, and I want to welcome you all here in the sanctuary and online. Our opening hymn is It Sounds Along the Ages, and I invite you all to rise in body or spirit and join me in song. It sounds along the ages, soul answering soul to soul. It kindles on the pages of every Bible scroll. The psalmist heard and sang it, from ardent lips it broke, and prophet tongues outrang it, till sleepy nations woke. From Sinai's cliff it echoed, it breathed from Buddha's tree. It charmed in Athens market, it hallowed Galilee. The hammer stroke of Luther, the pilgrim's seaside prayer, the oracles of Concord, one holy word declare. It calls and lo new justice, it speaks and lo new truth. In ever noble stature and unexhausted youth, forever unresounding and knowing not of time, our laws but catch the music of its eternal chime.
My name is Lily Rappaport, and I'm the Acting Director of Family Ministry. And I'd like to call all the young and the young at heart to come up in front and join me for the story. I found some great photographs from the Library of Congress archives, and I'm going to share them with you today. So today's story is about long ago and today. Sometimes it's fun to look back at the way people lived long ago, and we like to compare them to the way that we live our today lives. Long ago is also called the past, and it happened long before many of us were born. What do you think life was like long ago?
So the trick is, be like this.
Well,
the other hand
long
like this,
ago,
and
people
don't hit your hand.
Okay. All of mine?
That's
traveled
hard
today,
enough.
right?
Is it yours?
This lodges that.
Long
Does that
ago,
make
for
sense?
transportation, they traveled with horse and
Okay.
wagons. And then later on, they used
Yeah.
automobiles. what are some of the ways that you travel with your family today? Oh, you don't know? Do you take cars? How about trains? How about planes? Yeah, okay, so many different ways to travel today. Okay. Long ago, farmers plowed the fields. Okay? The farmers used handheld plows that were pulled by what? Horses and cows. Today, farmers still plow the fields, but now they use tractors that run on gas, and they use machines to plant seeds and to harvest crops too. They can finish their work much faster, don't you think? Long ago, people or children who lived on farms had to work on the farms and had to take care of their families. They gathered eggs, they worked in the garden, and they were responsible for feeding the animals, and sometimes for looking out for younger brothers and sisters. Today, children may have to do a few chores like the dishes or take out the trash. What kind of chores do you do? Well, you might say, I go to school. Yes, okay, because today children go to school, and that can be a chore with all the homework, right? Long ago, children also went to school. Long ago, the school had one room, and children of all ages were in the same class, and they often had the same teacher. Look at this picture. Do you see somebody in the front? Do they have shoes on? No, some of them don't even have shoes. Right, you see all ages in the same room. Well, a big difference between back then and now is that children did not have pencils or paper to write with. They wrote on what is called, like our chalkboards today. That's how they wrote. And today's children get some more free time than children did in the past, long ago. There's more time to read books, to play outside, to play video games, and to play with their friends. What do you like to do when you play? Children have always liked to play. Some of the games that children played in the past are similar to games that we play today. Have you ever played any of these old-time games like tag, hide and seek? What about leapfrog, yo-yos, jacks, and marbles? You play tag, right? Yeah, okay. And do you know this game? All right. That's a long game that they've been playing for years and years and years, okay? Well, long ago, people lived in houses, and today, people live in houses. When houses were first built, the house only had one room, and the entire family lived in the same room. Meals were also cooked with one pot over the open stove that was right in the middle of the house. Long ago, children had to pump water from a well. These days, it's much easier. We have machines that help us to keep our food fresh, like refrigerators. Okay, how about to clean our clothes? Like washing machines, because they used to have to do that all by hand. And we have so many new inventions that make life easier, like smartphones, iPads, computers, microwaves, and electricity. Let's continue to wonder how today is different and the same from long ago. And I wonder what our children's great-grandchildren will think of when they look back at us today. I wonder. So as we wonder this question together, why don't we raise in the middle here aisle, and let's form a bridge to sing our children out to their classes.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go, to nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our love as you go. We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart
each Sunday, this congregation gives away our entire collection to an organization in the larger community or to funds that help people in our own church. Those at home have two ways to give. There'll be a link posted in the Zoom chat, and you can also text from your phone the number that will be on the next screen. Those here present can text to give, or you can still give cash or a check and then drop it in the baskets at the back of the sanctuary after the service. The basket is right back there. Our offering today goes to Camp de Benneville Pines. A group from this church were just up at camp a couple of weekends ago for what we call cluster camp, along with folks from Chalice UU in the Conejo Valley and Emerson UU Church in Canoga Park. There was music, art, reading by the fire, hikes to waterfalls, and even a hailstorm that landed so thick on the ground that the kids there made snow cones out of it. Camp de Benneville Pines is a profound spiritual home for UUs in Southern California, Arizona, and Nevada. Perhaps its most significant legacy is creating deep Unitarian Universalist connections for our children. There are so many camps. There are children's camps, youth camps, young adult camps, art camps, justice camps, music camps, women's retreats, men's retreats. And in the summer, there is family camp. I encourage you all to get on the website at Camp de Benneville Pines, find a retreat that speaks to you, and get yourself there if you've never been. Stand on that holy, holy ground which is ours. The thing is that camp has barely survived. First, a pandemic shutdown. First there was a wildfire. Then there was a pandemic shutdown. Then there were some mudslides. Then there was another wildfire. And then there were the remnants of Hurricane Hillary that came through. And camp has not yet fully recovered from the pandemic or any of those other things. And the best way to support camp is actually to go there and see what it's like. Feel the, vibe is the word that's coming to me. And it's more than that, but just feel the sacred space that is created there. And then know that it is vital to all of us here in our area. It is our camp. And so I invite you to give as generously as you can to help support this incredible resource that's right up there in the San Bernardino Mountains, so close, and yet another world. Thank you for giving as generously as you always do.
That's why I get a little paranoid.
Now is the time in the service when we hold up the great joys and sorrows that grace our lives. We place stones in water for both the celebrations and sorrows in our hearts, making ripples that can be seen and are felt throughout the community. You can submit a joy or sorrow for sharing via a link on the website, uuventura.org, or a link in our Thursday email bulletin, UUCV This Week. Those received by 8 p.m. on Saturday night will be shared that Sunday. I invite you now to speak into the gathered community or write into the Zoom chat the names of those you wish to celebrate or memorialize, or those in need of the loving embrace of this beloved community. Reverend Dana will now place one final stone into the water for all the joys and sorrows just shared and those yet unspoken in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. May we be truly grateful for all that is our life.
Please remain seated as we sing Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire and have not love, my words are vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess and striving so my love profess, but not begin my love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control, our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every need. By this we worship and are freed.
A reading by Joy Harjo, Remember. Remember the sky that you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon. Know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving away to night. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life, and her mother's, and hers. Remember your father. He is your life also. Remember the earth, whose skin you are, red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life, who all have their tribes, their families, their histories, too. Talk to them. Listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember the wind. Remember her voice. She knows the origin of this universe. Remember, you are all people, and all people are you. Remember, you are this universe, and this universe is you. Remember, all is in motion, is growing is you. Remember, language comes from this. Remember the dance language is, that life is. Remember.
I invite you now into a time of stillness. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. Sit quietly. Notice your breath, letting it fall into a natural rhythm. What truths about your life and all of life do you need to remember, to call back up from deep in your memories? What is it that is most important to remember? A silent meditation.
Let us pause in life's pleasures and count its many tears while we all sup sorrow with the poor. There's a song that will linger forever in our ears. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis a song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. music light and gay. There are frail ones fainting at the door. Though their voices are silent, their pleading looks will say, oh, hard times, come again no more. 'Tis a song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times, come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times, come again no more. Tis a song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times, come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times, come again no more. 'Tis a sigh that is wafted across the troubled wave. 'Tis a wail that is heard upon the shore. 'Tis a dirge that is murmured around the lowly grave. Oh, hard times, come again no more. 'Tis a song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times, come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times, come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times, come again no more. Oh, hard times, come again no more. Oh, hard times, come again no more.
Thank you so much. It is lovely to have so much of your family here with us this day. So, guess if you can, where and when, by whom these words were spoken, written, or sung. First, we live in a decaying age. Young people no longer respect their parents. They are rude and impatient. They frequently inhabit taverns and have no self-control. Second, What is happening to our young people? They disrespect their elders. They disobey their parents. They ignore the law. They riot in the streets, inflamed with wild notions. Their morals are decaying. What is to become of them? Finally, kids. I don't know what's wrong with these kids today. Kids who can understand anything they say. Kids you can talk and talk till your face is blue. Kids, but they still do just what they want to do. Why can't they be like we were? Perfect in every way. Kids, what's the matter with kids today? The first was inscribed on a 6,000-year-old Egyptian tomb. The second is reportedly a remark overheard from Plato in the 4th century BCE. The final quote is from the Broadway musical Bye Bye Birdie, which premiered in 1960 and was also the first high school musical I ever saw, and I was dazzled. Bye Bye Birdie was set in the 1950s and centered around the disruption to a Midwestern suburban town when an Elvis-like rock star paid a visit. And yet seeing it in 1972, I was perplexed by that song about kids. Parents were definitely complaining about my own generation. And were we really worse than they were? Or do parents always complain about kids these days? Apparently that's it. Just ask Plato or any millennial today. My guess is that humans have always worried about the impending demise of civilization, and kids have long been a major part of their anxiety. Understandable. We all know how oblivious they are to the dangers all about them. And now science has found that their brains literally do not connect a behavior and its possible consequences. You're gonna put a stick out with that. You're gonna put your eye out with that stick. Sure, whatever. And we now find the same kinds of complaints on social media. One particular place that I have been following this is on Nextdoor. Enter Nextdoor with caution, always. And there is this running conversation about these bunches of kids who are wildly riding the streets on their bicycles, creating havoc and danger. I have seen them myself. They are wild and seemingly oblivious to danger and traffic. They appear more amused than anything by the squealing of brakes, and they can also be very rude to adults who scold them. The posts, though, also go on to complain about the rude and wild kids and their clearly negligent and irresponsible parents. Oh, I have so many thoughts. First, these kids are likely having a blast and think that those anxious scolding adults are just ridiculous. Do you ever remember thinking anything like that? Anyone? Anyone out there? So part of this is kids being kids in ways that truly terrify adults. And for good reason. We know how vulnerable they are, and kids are always pushing boundaries. And I feel for both the kids and their parents, and honestly, I do feel for people driving their cars when swarmed by wild young people on bicycles. And yet I also know that parents are probably so grateful that their kids are actually playing outside with other kids. Fresh air and exercise, faces bright and with red cheeks, not the deathly glow of electronic blue light from their devices. And so the whole thing makes me wonder that perhaps our fear for the future, which is always there, the future of our youth, but the future of all of us, does it make us look to the past for some kind of certainty and order? We survived it, so it can't have been all that bad, was it? Wasn't it even much better? People knew who they were and what was right. They lived with a moral clarity impossible today. It isn't so. It was never so. Alas, those good old days never were. Some of them were downright hard times. And in the middle of them, people were confused. Those times were confused and confusing and just as uncertain as about anything as we feel today. Yes, even in the 1930s and 40s, those were the hard times we just heard about. That's where that song was written, out of the Great Depression. And even in the 1950s, when we look back on the apparent white picket fenced stability and prosperity, the 1930s contained a full-on worldwide depression. People starved. Yes, they worked hard and faced hardships stoically. And it was awful. And those pictures that Lily showed, we have such nostalgia for those times, but you noted the bare feet on children in schools and all kinds of things that were really, really hard. And in the actual times, in the late 30s and 1940s, the response to world fascism was not at all clear. We look back and say, they knew what they were doing, and it was all so clear and simpler then. And yet remember that it took the United States years to join that fight, and it was a near thing. And then came the 1950s, white picketed and seemingly stable. Yet who was it good for? Mostly for white, two-parent, straight households who were middle class or higher. And I would question how good it was even for them. It was also a time that intentionally excluded and oppressed, too often violently, people of color, LGBTQ folks, and the disabled community. It idealized women as mothers and homemakers while simultaneously devaluing their economic contributions. It kept many men, locked in roles as family providers rather than nurturers. Returning black soldiers from World War II were deliberately excluded from the benefits of the GI Bill, which was legislation which ensured that my World War II veteran father would go to college, giving him a tremendous leg up. And those new suburbs were intentionally reserved for white families, with actual red lines on maps to keep people of color on the other side of the tracks. Those were not good old days. They were confused and confusing and downright awful for so many. So let us not hearken back to them. Let us instead remember what was real, what is real. There is a thread. Our opening hymn is one of my favorites. It sounds along the ages, soul answering to soul. It speaks of a spiritual understanding, a spiritual truth that is a thread that is throughout our history. Let us remember that. Not hearkening back to the temporary, the false, even the harmful. Rather, let us remember what is real. Remember that you are all people. You are all people. And all people are you. Remember, you are this universe, and this universe is you. Remember, all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember, language comes from this. Remember, dance, the dance language is, that life is. Remember what is real. And let us stay present now. Let us look ahead with some share of trepidation, hope, and agency. History, more than nostalgia, is a better guide for us. Are we facing unprecedented existential challenges in our times, more than people knew in the past? Maybe. In the case of climate change, it feels even more likely. Yet the threats to our democracy, are those greater than they have been in the past? Definitely not. An honest assessment of our history, its bright gifts and its shadow sides, is so useful to us. Historian and Substacker and one of my heroes, Heather Cox Richardson's new book, Democracy Awakening, puts current threats to American democracy in a wider context of the threats to our democracy that started at the very beginning. She tells the story, two stories in this book. First, of people who have tried to make us believe that our fundamental principles are not true. And also the story of how democracy has persisted, despite many attempts to undermine it. The story of the American people, especially those whom the powerful have tried to marginalize, and who first backed the idea of equality and a government that defended it, and then have fought to expand that definition to create a government that can defend those rights once and for all, defend that ideal, that idea of our country, of equality of all people, defend it once and for all, and finally make it real. Let us remember that. Our children and young adults, children, youth, and young adults, are not the worst generation ever. Even as we bemoan their youthful foolishness, we also say that they are the ones that are going to save us. They're not always thrilled when we say that. And yet I think that it is so as it has ever been. We need to look at our times with clear eyes and determination. There is no going back, ever. There was no going back. There never was a past that was actually idyllic. We have, and also note that we have made real, if wildly incomplete, progress. You can see some of the progress that we've made in the images that Lily shared, but also think of the progress we've made in civil rights for people of color, in women's and LGBTQ rights, in our expanding understanding of gender, in learning how to be more and more accessible to people for people with disabilities. Also think of mRNA vaccines, which are likely to be as revolutionary to our medical system and our health as penicillin was back in its day. I suspect that progress of any kind leads to backlash somewhere. And is the backlash we see today a kind of testament to the progress that we have made? That maybe. And that's part of the complexity of this whole thing, part of what makes it all as confusing as it is. But back to the kids these days. Much of what we worry about for them is the effects of social media on their still forming bodies, souls, and psyches. And here is a complexity to note. A recent study in the Journal of the American Medical Association did find measurable negative effects from social media on our children's mental health, except among children in one very specific group: transgender and non-binary youth. For them, the study found, quote, "When used actively, social media provides transgender, non-binary youth a sense of safety and community and is related to better mental health." So let's put that one into the mix. Even if our times are better or worse in different ways than the past, there is still much amiss in our time. Our democracy is facing renewed threats. We just had the hottest September since records have been kept. And the Middle East is ablaze again with violence. Hamas slaughtered Israelis and who now plan retaliation, and Palestinians are caught in a horrific middle. And humanity has always wondered how they got in this handbasket on the way to hell. And still, People have always found their way through, for better and worse. And we will too. And there is yet possibility and hope. Try not to go too far down the rabbit hole of hope, despair, and helplessness. Do what you can. There is a quote that is attributed to Martin Luther, though even if he didn't say it, someone did. And it goes, "If I knew that tomorrow was the end of the world, I would plant an apple tree today." There is yet hope and possibility, and we have yet agency. It looks and feels awful often. And I recommend highly that you stay in the present moment. You remember as clearly as possible the past, how we got here, not nostalgically, but with clear eyes of both what progress we have made and the deep shadow sides that we still have not dealt with in this culture and amongst all of humanity. And I still highly recommend that you hang on to a sense of hope, a sense of possibility, and a sense that, yes, indeed, you can, we can yet make a difference. And our kids are great. They're young and vulnerable and sweet and, oh my God, please, please, please survive. We made it through. They will make it through. Let us all go forth and plant literal and metaphorical apple trees. Amen. May it be so. Please. Holy beingness of no name and many names, among them hope, possibility, truth, memory, Spirit of life which dwells within and among and beyond us this day and always. May we remember clearly, lovingly, hopefully. May we speak with bravest fire, arising from love, love at the center which motivates, animates, and gives us possibility. May we not look away from all that is amiss. May we hold in our hearts all the peoples of the Middle East, in Gaza, Israel, and beyond. And may we know that we have it within us to live with integrity, possibility, progress, and hope. And may we hang on to one another for all we are worth as we keep moving forward. And to all those, and may all those who are ill find healing. May those who are in despair find hope. May those who are without shelter find home. Amen. and blessed be.
Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing I Wish I Knew How. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all these chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things I could say. Say 'em loud, say 'em clear for the whole world to hear. Say 'em loud, say 'em clear for the whole world to hear. I wish I knew her, all the love in my heart. Remove all the bars that we've seen us apart. I wish you could know what it means to be me. Then you'd see and agree everyone should be free. Then you'd see and agree everyone should be free. I wish I could shiv all the longing to give. I wish I could live like I'm longing to live. I wish I could do all the things I can do. Now I'm way overdue. I'd be starting anew. Now I'm way overdue. I'd be starting anew. I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be if I found I could fly. I soar to the sun and look down at the sea. Then I'd sing 'cause I know how it feels to be free. Then I'd sing 'cause I know how it feels to be free.
Please join me in reading the words on the screen as we prepare to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. Those we carry into our lives until we are together again.
For the benediction, just want to note that cash and checks can go in the back. Drop by the Connecting Center and give us your contact information and make certain that you learn all the wonderful things that happen in this church. I leave you with these words from the Reverends John Burens and Rebecca Parker. Hope rises. It rises from the heart of life, here and now, beating with joy and sorrow. Hope longs for good to be affirmed, for justice and love to prevail, for suffering to be alleviated, and for life to flourish in peace. Hope remembers the dreams of those who have gone before and reaches for connection with them across the boundary of death. Hope acts. It acts to bless, to protest, and to repair. May we go and do the same. Go forth in love. Go forth in peace. May it be so.
I don't know. I think I'm done for now.
Really? That's it? I was just, B flat?